first and foremost, very welcome, and thanks for taking the time today to attend. I know that for startups, money and time is not of the essence. So what I'm going to do today is focus on a very short, corto pero bueno presentation, and it's very much focused on inbound sales and marketing. Okay, so to kick off, what I'm going to say is we'll start with this dicho, very simple, but I think at the end of the presentation will be very relevant to all the founders in the room. So this is something our founder said in HubSpot about 14 years ago when we were a startup, really young. He said, you can't outspend the giants, but you can outthink, outteach, and outhelp them. Okay? So this may make a bit more sense towards the end of the presentation, but I think it's something to consider today based on what we're going to talk about. Okay? So to begin, I'm just going to start with a quick question to understand who you are first before we begin to romper el hielo. So just maybe 2 or 3 people, would we be able to describe our startup in 5 words? So, oh, brilliant, tell me.
Okay, 5 words.
5 or 6, 5 words.
5.
Yeah, okay. It's earning the money.
Voy a grabarlo.
Lo tenemos todo el día. Vaccinate the whole generation against modernism. Excellent, well done, fantastic, very good, very good. Anybody else?
It's a great learning game in 2 minutes.
Nice. I think more than 5, but I understand exactly what you're saying. Excellent. Okay. Anybody else? One more. Okay, maybe me. So I work for HubSpot for startups, and we our focus is to help startups grow. That's it. Okay. So the second question I have for the audience is just to understand between a scale of 1 to 10, your understanding of the concept inbound sales and marketing. So hands up for anybody who is a 10. Okay, not yet. Joaquin, you're not.
Okay.
That's a bit. Sorry, I'm joking. You're a 10, 11. What about between a 5 and a 6? Okay, great. Fantastic. 2, 3. Between 1 and 3. 4, 0. Okay. Okay, so whatever number you are, I hope that you leave the room today as a higher number in terms of understanding of inbound sales and marketing. So to begin, mi nombre es Caragh, como Face. No hablo español perfectamente y no estoy muy funny in Spanish, por eso creo que es mejor para hacerlo en inglés. He hecho mi becario en Madrid hace 5 años in a company called Find a Sense. It's in Callao. It's owned by an Argentinian man, Tommy Lush. And when I started, I was 8, not in age, in number, in the company. And now the company is funded by Wida, and it is one of the largest CRM companies in Latin America, and it has 700 people. So I was lucky to be a part of that situation. And in my experience, I have worked in that company with startups, and now in HubSpot. I found out HubSpot came to Dublin about 4 years ago, and I was using HubSpot in a company in Madrid, and I decided to work in HubSpot. Okay, so in HubSpot in Dublin, I was 18 and not in age, in number to start, and now how many are we in Dublin, Joaquin?
300.
Around 300. So this is something, again, I don't own my own startup right now, but I feel I'm being part of a startup process. So I hope to kind of give you some tips and tricks or algo good today. So to begin, the agenda is very simple. Let's keep 4 points top of mind. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the story, which is us and you as a company beginning your kind of route from bootstrap to seed, Series A, public, sell or retire, and how this can happen for a startup. Second, inbound as an opportunity right now for small female business owners. 3, HubSpot for startups, how you can use HubSpot or other software to support you with your sales and marketing. And finally, some questions and answers. Okay, so Joaquin, my compañero, is here today to talk about similar, but to reinforce the message in terms of inbound. Okay, so I'll just begin by the overview. Any questions? No? Okay, so anybody know the names of these 2 guys? Joaquin, you're in 10, is it? You know? Okay, so these are our founders, 2 American guys. Well, this guy is not originally from America, but they're both the founders of our company, Dharmesh Shaw and Brian Halligan, okay? So I think the story here is very relevant, particularly for you as founders, because Dharmesh and Brian started HubSpot about 14 years ago. They met as graduates from MIT. When they met, they had a conversation, and Dharmesh is actually one of the biggest angel investors in America right now. Back then, no. And at the time, Dharmesh was writing a blog called onstartups.org, and this still exists. And Brian was actually a venture capital investor for big companies and spending a lot of money on traditional marketing. Okay, so they had a conversation in a bar one time after they graduated, and Brian basically was telling Dharmesh about the fact that he was spending a lot of money on traditional advertising, sales, marketing. So does anybody understand the concept or know what traditional sales and marketing is? Or what it potentially could be? Old school marketing? So Well, I
think traditional marketing is marketing that is mainly more focused on the brand, speaking about the brand.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is related to public relations or direct marketing or whatever activity, but it's we are the best, we are doing this.
Exactly. Okay. So this usually costs a lot of money, no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What other types of marketing are quite traditional, Joaquin?
Disruptive?
Disruptive? Yeah. So like cold calling, I'll pick up the phone, I'll be like, hello, how are you? Email blasts, exactly. Like paid advertising, all of this was something that Brian was using in terms of spending big money to actually interrupt people on a day-to-day. And he actually wasn't getting a lot of results. Whereas Dharmesh was writing a blog on startups to give useful tips and tricks and advice to people like yourselves, startups, to support and provide value on the startup community, and he was generating lots of traffic and lots of leads. Okay, so it's kind of like a David and Goliath situation where you've got Coca-Cola spending the money, and then you've got Dharmesh, someone just writing a blog. But the difference was that Dharmesh was actually getting more traffic, more leads, and more potential customers. Okay, so does anybody know why this is? This was happening? What was the question again? Sorry. So the question was, you have Dharmesh writing the blog on startups, getting traffic and leads, and then you have Brian Halligan spending money on advertising and not getting the same return. One of them was focusing that they think on getting excellent, and the other one was thinking on what he wanted to put into the people. Exactly, exactly. Anybody else want to comment on this? Exact same. Yeah. So because of this competition, they realized that they realized that people no longer wanted to be sold to as like a process or a number on a paper. They needed to make the sales and marketing process more human, okay? So because of this, they created the concept of inbound marketing and sales, okay? And then over the last 14 years, they created the software in order to execute on inbound marketing and sales. So this is how HubSpot essentially began. And I think from a lot of people, and just in the room today as founders, how many tools are you using to do your sales and marketing? If it's Excel sheets, CRM, Google AdWords, email, MailChimp, HubSpot, how many tools are you using, guys? 1, 2, 0?
4 or 5.
4 or 5, good number.
No, not really. I would like to know more about growth hacking.
Okay.
Growth hacking tools.
Growth hacking, fantastic. Palabra clave en este momento. Okay, very good.
Not easy to find.
No, not easy to find. Not always necessary to find either.
Yeah.
2 or 3, super. Excellent. Wow. Okay, that's not bad.
HubSpot.
HubSpot. Fantastic. You win. Okay.
This is the main tool we use in the company.
Okay, great.
All the related to email marketing, networks, etc.
Super.
Websites, etc. Is all
HubSpot. Fantastic.
all the control about this.
Great. Good, good. Anybody else? How many guys? HubSpot. HubSpot. I put them in the room. Anybody else? 2 or 3? HubSpot. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, regardless of whether it's HubSpot or Salesforce or any other company, a lot of sales and marketing tools, and this I remember I worked in a company called Expert Media in Canal, and it was an enterprise company, and we actually had the beauty of, we created our own customer relationship management system. It was like a bonfire of contacts. It was B2B and B2C company. And I remember going to work every day, and I used to go to work, and I'd come in, and my job was to give people like Joaquin in sales, 20 guys leads. I was the marketing person. And I remember I used to open Banner Snack, Google AdWords, double click, the bespoke CRM, all of these variety of tools. And I remember looking, going, I have no visibility. It was like Lego, and I couldn't really streamline what was happening. For founders, again, time and money is of the essence. So eventually I convinced my Dutch boss, and I think Dutch people are meant to be to buy HubSpot. It took me about 8 months. And the beauty, I think, of this was solely because everything was, like you said, in one place. So I was able to get visibility on my marketing, my sales, and my CRM in one solution. Okay, so this is how HubSpot works. And I suppose let's quickly dive in. What I'm going to show you next is probably, in my opinion, in my career, was one of the most important images I saw early on when I started trying to understand how to generate leads, convert them into contacts, and close them into customers, or essentially money for the business. Okay, so this is a chart. So here it says blog, keywords, publishing, and strangers. Felix, can we remove this? Sorry.
Yeah, let's see how.
I just said it's the most important slide.
Yeah.
Perfecto. Okay, so again, bringing it back to the story. The story is we want to attract strangers to our website as visitors, convert them into leads, create them as customers, and then ideally they will promote us in the future and generate more business, okay? So in order to do this, we use all of these different pieces of software to bring your contact through the steps, okay? How many people have seen this image before? Okay, super. So not everybody. So this is something for any startup, is literally a plan of action para empezar. Before we start actually executing on something like this, there is one really important step before we start to execute on attracting strangers. Does anybody know what the step is? Tell me.
Define your buyer persona.
Fantastic. Buyer personas. Okay, so again, a lot of people think, you know, marketing is where people get into a room and they get really creative and they come out and then they generate leads for sales and everything is a good story. But no, marketing is actually quite logical, and before we even think about creating content or creating any, I suppose, material, we need to think back strategically and who actually wants this material. The biggest problem in my experience over the last few years for startups is they're not very good at selling, because they're not an enterprise company where they're spending their money. So it's difficult to leave a deal on the table, and sometimes we want to sell to everybody, and that is not always the best decision, okay? So when HubSpot started, we had to make a conscious business decision. We were a very small group, about 4 or 5 people, and we had 3 buyer personas. Does anybody want to define buyer personas? Does anybody know the definition? Guys, buyer personas?
The buyer persona is your ideal customer. You need to identify the challenges, the pain, what to be done, and how your solution could fit with it.
Perfect. Has anybody created a buyer persona? Have you created a buyer persona? Okay, not yet. Good. Anybody created a buyer persona? Your ideal client. Media smart buyer personas?
We get internal discussions about that.
Okay, that sounds very formal. Perfect. Okay, so first and foremost, buyer personas will help you save time and money. Back in 2004, HubSpot created Marketing Mary, Enterprise Aaron, and Agency Ian. Okay, at the time they could only focus on one persona in order to grow. Although there was potentially 3 types of ideal customer, to grow as a business, they couldn't worry about 3, they had to focus on 1. Does anybody know which buyer persona they actually focused on? Did they focus on Enterprise Aaron, who was the marketing lady in Coca-Cola? Did they focus on Marketing Mary, who was in the small business and that could influence the decision maker? Or did they focus on Agency Ian, who could potentially resell HubSpot? Anybody know who they focused on to begin? Enterprise? Reseller, interesting. Who would you choose as a small business owner? Excellent, Marketing Mary. So maybe it wasn't the right decision, but they decided based on simple facts. 1, Marketing Mary was easier to sell to. It wasn't a long sales process, and she would easily influence the owner or the founder in terms of what to buy from marketing and sales tools. Enterprise Aaron would take a long time to sell to, and we needed money fast. Agency Ian would resell, but they wouldn't retain the customers because they were one-man bands. So they weren't a sustainable market in terms of retention. Does everybody understand the reasoning behind that? Okay, so even today now, me and Joaquin will talk about Marketing Mary. In the future, in the last 14 years, we've developed 5 buyer personas. We've salesperson Sam, Enterprise Aaron. So the takeaway is don't create 3, 4 personas, create 1, and then create more and polish and better. And again, in HubSpot, we always say get it 60% done, get it out and improve. And that's the way you'll sustain the business over time. Okay? Any questions on that? No. So 2 types of persona here. Hola. Welcome. No problem, no pasa nada. So 2 types of sample personas here. And again, I know your founders, maybe you don't have the intelligence yet to understand exactly who your persona is, but begin somewhere, keep it simple. Marketing Michelle is our new Marketing Mary. We realized about 3 months ago that Marketing Mary is actually now 40 years old and has changed jobs and actually has developed into Marketing Michelle. She's more savvy. She no longer lives in the suburb and works in a small business. She's actually living in the city, and she uses Uber, and these are all different traits in terms of how she has developed and evolved.
Excuse me, can you minimize that?
Yeah, Felix. ¿Podemos quitar eso? Perdón, ¿eh?
En la línea esa. Ahí la izquierda,
Yeah.
arriba, a la izquierda,
Está en el peor sitio.
Sorry.
arriba a la izquierda.
Whatever you want to do.
Lo minimizas.
Yeah.
Exacto, salimos.
Perfect.
Espera.
Arriba a la izquierda.
No, pero mira,
¿Qué pasa si minimizas?
es que estoy en mi.
You can.
No tengo doble pantalla.
You can.
Ahí, un poquito.
Ah, sí, sí.
Ahí.
Ah,
Él habla con lo tuyo.
Seguramente si me das
vale.
desde
Hola,
arriba,
¿qué tal?
desde la parte negra, ahí.
Bueno, vale, si esto lo dejas a un ladito ya no pasa.
Okay.
El trabajo en
Gracias.
equipo funciona.
Gracias. Okay, so when we were starting HubSpot for startups, we were like a startup within HubSpot. So I had to create my ideal client. So I had to create someone like Felix, okay? So I created Growth Gary, who is someone that is savvy, that is interested in kind of a founder-first mentality, helping startups grow. And I built out this portfolio in order to attract people like Felix to my business and help HubSpot for startups grow. So the first step I'd offer you today, if anybody has not done it, is sit down with your team and create who potentially would be your ideal client. We're startups, not scale-ups. We cannot have all the leads, and sometimes it's better to leave a deal on the table and not want to kind of sell to everybody. Any questions? Okay, so step 1, buyer personas. Step 2, any ideas? You got the first one?
Set up the strategy.
Okay, good. More context?
Define your channels.
Not bad.
To attract your no. Maybe before you need to prioritize your buyer persona.
Good. Step 1. Anybody else? Okay, let's keep it simple, close. So, I was in a room recently with a very different type of audience. There were 50 accountants from Cork in Ireland, so Irlanda. And I asked the group, what was the last thing you searched on Google? And one of the guys said, what time is the creche closing in Cork City? Because he had to collect his children and he didn't know what time they were closing the creche. Another,
Chris, como una guardería.
yeah, so the husband didn't know when he had to collect the kids, so he had to use Google para entender a qué hora. Another guy said, in Google he searched, what are the answers to the Irish Times crossword? So the point is, people are not like, has anybody ever typed marketing into Google?
So, well, maybe with more words.
So this is the point. People aren't typing in 1, 2 words into Google, they're typing in full questions in order to locate the solution, okay? To a pain they're experiencing or a problem they're having, or maybe not even yet diagnosed with what the situation is. So the second step is to take 2, 3 topics that define your business, okay? So for HubSpot for startups would be topic, What about for you? Do you have any topics to describe your business? Yeah. Not yet. Okay, good. Anybody have any topics to describe their business?
Online fraud detection.
Perfect. Online fraud detection. Fantastic.
I already said. And
You want to say again?
early learning.
Yeah.
Vaccinated against monolingualism.
Super.
Babies.
Babies, that's a good broad. Okay, so right now there's been a lot of changes in Google, and topics in terms of kind of are now being given value by the search engine. So a lot of small businesses are benefiting from this change. So step 2, after you create your buyer personas, is understand the topics that are important to your ideal buyer personas and create long tail keywords around these topics. To create this, I would recommend using Answer the Public. Has anybody ever used Answer the Public? No. So what it'll do, it'll create this nice cluster in order to understand what people are looking for in terms of question. So yeah, the topic of babies is important, but people are actually looking for what time do I collect my baby from the creche in Cork. Okay, so they're typing in. So again, to get to the first page of Google, 80% of people will actually go to the first page and not go to the second page. So our focus is to get to the first page of Google. Answer the Public will create a list of questions that people are actually asking online. And then step 3 for you as a small business, you'll actually create the content with these questions. So topic clusters would be step 3. Okay, has anybody heard of this topics clusters? Great, good woman. Okay. Okay, it's in HubSpot. Well, HubSpot created the software to execute on topic clusters, but topic clusters is basically a way of organizing your content online by creating a more structured layout. Okay. So I think, Joaquin, in September, the change happened.
Yep.
So what happened was, like Penguin and Puffin and all these changes that Google has made, Google actually made, and this is something back to David and Goliath, made a change that is very beneficial for you as founders. So now what they're doing is awarding people who speak very well about a topic and actually connect the topic to longer tail keywords and link back to the topic. So how this looks is you would have, in your case, you would talking about the babies, maybe you have a calculator on price around babies, etc., and then link back with blog posts, etc., around long tail keywords about, you know, how to help babies, whatever.
Moms.
Exactly. So again, this is how it looks, your topic here. These are the long tail keywords that are being optimized. And a real life example is when this happened in HubSpot, our website actually looked like this. So we were, again, traditional in terms of SEO, and we were just optimizing our content one palabra clave per página. But with this new method, we actually created cluster content, and our website went from 6 million to 10 million views based on this structure that Google was able to give us authority, because we're talking about something often and providing solution. So this is good news for founders. Any questions on this? No?
So you sort of organize the web pages to be able to have certain topics around what your values persona is demanding.
Exactly.
And you organize that instead of having it all like messy in a messy way. You make clusters with this information, because the Google searcher is going to give you more authority. Yeah. That's
Perfect.
just
Makes
to
sense?
Make sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
And is
Yeah.
Sean's, is it literally the content tree structure, as in where you're positioning pages within your web hierarchy, or is it just links between that actually matter? You know, they're in listed directories?
So it's the last part. So it doesn't there. So yeah, you would have the pillar, which is a big piece of content, which is always more high value than high quantity. So you would have the theme, and the structure would be interlinking your blog posts or your social media back to the original theme. That makes sense? So I'd say keep it simple. 3 steps: buyer persona, the topics that are important to the buyer persona, and create one cluster piece, which would be maybe for HubSpot for startups, the HubSpot for startups application, and then links back from blog posts, and that would create your initial cluster piece.
But is this touching your code? Is this touching? I don't know if this was your question. I mean, is it touching the software, the code you have developed? I mean, the web page. Is it?
Yeah. So
Is it introducing like meta words or something?
So for example, before this change, if I wanted to optimize a web page, I would put the palabra clave in the header, the meta description, the body, the child's text, and the call to action ideally, so it's all compatible. You still do this, but you link it back to the actual theme or topic. And Google is awarding people who create structures like this because they're not providing us with millions of blog posts. They're providing us with a pillar of content around a topic that's really relevant. So because there's so much content online, Google have decided to make this change to actually provide high value and faster interaction between this value based on these structures.
Okay, so it's like you win the prize because it's easier for Google to make things go on and work fine. And
Exactly. Google wants the person online to find the solution fast to their questions. Yeah.
And the center of that cluster is your product, or is it a piece of information that's very valuable for the user?
Yeah, so it would be a piece of information, like maybe a calculator, a demonstration, an inbound marketing assessment, a white paper. So like if I'm GoPro, I won't use content like a white paper because my potential persona don't read white papers. I would use YouTube. So you define your content based on your business.
Would you be able to show an example of what you're talking about on the HubSpot website?
Yes. Well, on the website here you have it, but in terms of content, Joaquin actually has the example of blog.com, no?
I can talk a bit more about this. Basically, we can show an example and see how it works.
Yeah.
But we don't need to get too deep because it's a wide concept and it's a change. It's something that we are very excited about because it's basically changing the let's go with keywords strategy with let's go with topics and use keywords to do that. But yeah, we can see an example later.
The usual example they show is like, it's a blog generator tool that HubSpot has, and you type your palabra clave in, you say, okay, my topic is inbound marketing, and it will produce like 7 different titles for your blog. So how to do inbound marketing for startups, how to do inbound sales for startups. But you see that the page is actually linked via blog posts, so you're pushing traffic. So people who are actually searching for long tail keywords are getting a blog post, but the call to action is going back to that pillar content. Make sense? Yeah.
One question. When you refer to long tail keywords,
yeah.
do you mean that you want to differentiate with very specific keywords that are relevant to your target,
yeah.
but that are not so much competition with your competitors, not so much general keywords?
Yeah, so
it's very niche, because long tail, I understand something very specific, more niche
yeah.
conceptual. So
Is this the case?
Yeah, like, so if just take this, so again, use something like Answer the Public to see exactly what people, like I don't think you should go into a room and brainstorm long tail keywords. Use tools like Answer the Public, keyword.io to actually give you the keywords that people are searching for, which are niche and normally questions.
Both.
Yeah. So you,
Okay.
and then you'd put these keywords into HubSpot and see how difficult it is to get to the first page in Google.
Okay, so you combine both general and niche keywords.
So the concept is you pick 4 topics that are important for your business, and then, so babies, and then you would generate maybe 4 or 5 long tail keywords or questions around this topic, and create the content for those questions. And I mean, don't worry if it doesn't make sense right now. I mean, over time it will. The key is one buyer persona, understand 3 or 4 topics, create long tail or niche or questions around the topic, and then the content that aligns with your personas.
When you say these questions, you mean what is people typing in Google to find your product?
Exactly.
Okay. You don't mean long term like it's a mix of words, main words and other words that by the combination it throws out the competition but it focuses you.
Exactly.
Okay, also this.
Yeah, exactly.
Also this. All right, this is important.
Yeah, very important. But again, I wouldn't go on instinct. I use these tools to see what these questions are and what these variations of keywords are.
You mentioned Answer the Public and you mentioned another one.
Keyword.io. Okay, so we'll get to the stage, people have done this, and then there's this idea of, okay, we can now potentially make a lot of money. I've met a lot of startups, and the big thing for startups, again, is that selling isn't always the best characteristic, primarily because money is tight, time is tight, they've created a great product, but they don't exactly have the time nor expertise or whatever the situation takes to be actually on closing business. Okay, so making the pasta is very important. Okay, so this is the concept of inbound sales, and we're going to do it in 3 steps. Before we start, can everybody who uses a CRM put up their hand? A CRM, a customer relationship management system. 3, okay, 4, very good. Good. Okay, about 6. Okay, that's not a bad number. Who is using an Excel sheet? Good, you're very honest, great. Anybody else using an Excel sheet? Anybody using a piece of paper? I was in Barcelona 2 days ago, and there were very clever people, but a few of them were using paper. So the most important thing is to get visibility on the business. And as a step 1, in terms of inbound sales, we would, before you even think about marketing, etc., we would make sure you actually are able to manage your contacts, because the money is in the contacts. So in HubSpot, we've got a CRM. You can use, there's loads on the market. I think there's 23 good CRMs at the moment. So I would say it's a very important process to understand who your contacts are. If you have your contacts on a piece of paper, you won't have all of this information, okay? So what I did yesterday is I used the HubSpot CRM. I just took a picture of what it was like, because I had all my contacts in HubSpot. And because I have my contacts in HubSpot, I'm actually able to see when Felix returns to my website, I'm able to see in live time what pages Felix is looking at. So I can send Joaquin an internal notification to say, hey, Joaquin, Felix is actually looking for a job at HubSpot, go reach out. Or he's looking at enterprise software, pick up the phone straight away. Or he's reading marketing around Series A funding, ask him if he wants a 15-minute conversation on, this is true. So again, I mean, you've all your information here, you've all the live communication here, and the reason this is so valuable is 1, it's free, 2, it gives you visibility early days as a startup, And 3, it allows you actually react based on this lead intelligence in a logical way that will communicate with your potential business. In my case, Felix is now one of my actual, it's called key accounts. So you would be one of my top partners along with Wider in Spain, based on intelligence, okay? So as startups, we would urge you to take your CSV file or your paper, upload onto a CRM, so you're actually able to get a visibility on who your potential clients are, not numbers, humans that, you know, could be good business for you in the future. Okay, let's go to step 2. Oops. So what do you think step 2 is? So upload your contacts, step 1, step 2, anything?
This tagging all of it, so good segmentation. So I tag all my contacts.
Yeah.
I tag it with the location, they're based in Madrid, Spain, which language they speak, which product they fit.
Sure.
What else? My sales channel, marketing channel.
Yeah.
I meet them in a television or via email marketing campaign.
Yeah.
And once I target, I just move it to my map of my profiles of my personas, for example.
For example.
And then I plan my activities through this.
Yeah. So exactly. So marketing or yourself, you've generated the correct people to the website, you've converted them as contacts, and now you need to move these people down the funnel into sales. So for HubSpot for Startups, when we started, I actually had to create what we call is a deal pipeline, okay? To understand where my business was in the funnel. Now, my job is to manage incubators, accelerators, and venture capitalists in Europe and Latin America. And this is a partnership, so it's different. So maybe it's less steps than selling, say, a windmill or a t-shirt, which would be less steps than this. So I created these stages. I created the apply, explore, feedback, approve, not approved. So Felix came to my website, he converted, he said, I'm actually interested in being a partner. So I said, okay, I'm not going to give you this straight away. So again, sales is always give, get. You don't negotiate without getting something in return. So I actually moved Felix to approved, and I created a 15-minute conversation to see if Felix is a good fit. Because I don't want to look back in my business, HubSpot for Startups, in 5 years' time and have everybody a partner and only one startup within that business. I want wider, I want Felix, people who are actually, you know, going to support their startups to see success and results. So I moved, based on the conversation, I moved Felix to feedback, where I asked him to send his startups a survey to see if they were interested in inbound sales and marketing. So he sent his startups. So again, you know, if you ask for feedback, I'll, you know, do a demonstration, so give, get. And then based on the fact that he did this and he had a lot of people interested, I moved him to approved. If the reaction was he only had 1 or 2 startups interest, I'd say, okay, let's talk again in 6 months, okay? So again, this is different for every business. I took a picture of HubSpot enterprise sales, and this is how it looks. So this is if you're selling to maybe Coca-Cola or someone big, someone like Joaquin. You've gone through some big sales processes in your time, no? Yeah, I remember. But you would go from discovery to find value, demonstrate value, achieve business, negotiation, contract sent, close one, close lost. The benefit of this is you're moving people forward, you're moving people back, you're moving people out. Okay, and each time you move, you can trigger. So when I move Felix to approved, it automatically triggers a notification to say, hey, Felix, welcome to HubSpot for Startups. This is the steps to get you started. So this is, again, automating the process to save you as a founder time and money. Any questions on creating a pipeline? Exciting? Que caña? Is that a good enough? Not cool. Okay. Okay, step 3, the beauty and benefit of all this is that over time, when you know you've got the lead intelligence, you've got the structure, and you're kind of looking to scale, you get visibility on exactly what's happening with your business. So there's no hiding, there's no looking, it's all there. I can see where my money is, I can see where I can improve, how much money I have in the funnel in order to get business faster and actually optimize on getting more business or focus, say, on a different buyer persona, a different market based on results. Okay. So any questions before we go to takeaways? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you my takeaways today, but maybe you have more takeaways. So again, with these conversations, it's really important that you leave the room with something that you can action. Anything you can't, just leave here. If content clusters was not clear, leave it here. Focus on buyer personas. We don't have time. So what I thought were the takeaways was build a buyer persona, choose your topic, create content cluster, burn your CSV file or piece of paper, and use a CRM, any CRM. Create a deals pipeline, and then optimize on results. Any other takeaways from anybody else? Anybody else going to do anything different?
There's more question.
Yeah.
Would you advise your individual really early stage, or if in the first year or so in the business, you're only going to have like 4 big clients that are going to use up all your capacity basically? So would you invest in having this sort of system right at the beginning?
And yeah, I think the benefit of this is, one, you can download it and leave it there and let it gather the intelligence and not touch it, and it's free. So then you can look back in a year and add more or add over time. But I think the biggest opportunity for startups is if they start thinking sales and marketing early. My background is I worked with enterprise accounts who have the benefit of the money and the time and the team, whereas startups don't. So they spend a lot of time focusing on the wrong things or ideas or trying to make things perfect. With this, my advice would be download, leave it, when it makes sense, add more, you know?
I just have to take away, for example, my experience. I told you at the beginning that I hate this type of working with Excel spreadsheets. So once I have one contact with prospect, I need a CRM. Or from the very first day, I'm starting a new business. It's not a company now, it's a project, but I need something, a place just to have all my contact, all my activity, when I contact them, where I made them, so everything on my CRM. There are a lot of CRMs for free, like this. So you need this just to organize your life and the sales and the...
You don't organize lives.
No, the life of your prospects.
Okay.
The life cycle of your prospects.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, what I manage at the moment is a program called HubSpot for Startups. We actually are very founder first. We provide HubSpot at a 90% discount, and we support startups with trainings like these to help you grow as a business. So again, let's call this the start of our conversation. We are connected. If you need anything, you can reach out. I'll follow up after this presentation. But just as a final thought, I suppose, yeah, so everybody should love startups. I think this quote is a nice one. Chase the vision, not the money. The money will end up following you. And yeah, I think this is how we can win if we take some tactics from today. Hopefully we'll see success in the future. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.